we found was that when we had convened everybody, is that different communities had different sort of economic development ideas and practices, which in the end did not speak well for having a regional approach to affordable housing. And then we also thought that it's obviously critical to build a regional coalition for advocacy and for investment, but that coalition, that coalition has to transcend the current sort of divisions between nonprofit, for-profit, builders, whoever else. So it really has to be much more inclusive to be able to get the kind of momentum you need regionally to work at the state level to get monies and that sort of thing. And then finally, leverage the strength and presence of financial institutions. Financial institutions are really partners, and particularly in this environment, it's important to recognize that. And a lot of nonprofits and other organizations don't have the practice, don't have the habit, and don't have the comfort of working with financial institutions. Yet financial institutions can be a very important and influential partner, not only in terms of offering loans and different kinds of things, but also as part of a political, a more policy-oriented coalition. So I just wanted to say that before we go. I wanted to kind of give you the overview before we go on to the other slides. So, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So one of the things that a lot of folks, I'm sure are aware of, those in the development world at least, is that from community to community, development practices change. You have certain ordinances, standards that need to be met, and it makes it real difficult and challenging to develop a product that's decent and affordable, but yet can be replicated throughout various communities within a region. So part of the idea is to develop these best practice guides and goals for local government that community groups can get behind, that the building industry can get behind, and that the local government staff can get behind. And so that, it's something that will kind of help not create cookie-cutter communities. That's not by any means what we're talking about, but we're just talking about having stuff that's, a little bit more streamlined, especially in light of today's, in our locally or our statewide enacted endeavors as SB 375, the land use, the major land use bill. What kind of implications is that going to have on all of our communities? So if there are some best practices that can be adopted in the valley to address, climate change, compact development, transit-oriented development, what have you, then that would be kind of a good thing that we could then take and shop around. So maybe it's a boilerplate ordinance or set of standards, maybe even moving away from your zoning code and going more into, I just lost it. What's the new, not newest trend in zoning, but the
building,
the village?
it's instead of having zoning codes, instead of the zoning codes, I just lost it. It's a whole other way for local governments to write up zoning. And I designed something. Anyway, and then to go, then to have an action plan for each of these goals that then can be shared throughout the valley. And